I have here the 3D printed bust of Oingo Goblokian, the art collector character from the dark humor TV show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Cause I need it. I have a CSI web camera there in the eye and a not super modified Home Assistant voice module. The voice module lets me have a custom wake word, and it has a pretty good built-in microphone and a pretty good built-in speaker. It's normally connected via USB-C to our Jetson AGX Orin. Our AGX has 64 gigabytes of memory, 248 CUDA cores, and 64 tensor cores. I've configured it with an M.2 for primary storage. The software stack is mostly Docker, usually, but I'm using Ollama with a 3 billion parameter Gemma model for this demo. It has a vision component. It has a full vision system. I started with this example GitHub repository from Nvidia. Understand that this repo starts as a web app that connects through the web browser and a local camera on the computer. So for this video, I'm not using the iCamera to connect to the CSI camera in the AGX Orin. You need a module for that. Whereas the Orin Nano, also set up on my desk here, has that built in, and the webcam just works directly on the Nano. It plugs directly in. Yeah. Anyway, this demo is super easy to get set up and running, and you can use it as a starting point to build your own AI robot, even on not this hardware. I'll hold up my zombie golden girl and see what Oingo thinks of the artwork. And it doesn't respond unless it sees the artwork. And with all of this, I have all the pieces that I need to do to string together automatic speech recognition, vision and language processing, and customized voice synthesis. This is the unmodified live VLM web UI, and it is connecting to localhost 11.434, which is just Ollama running in the background. Ollama, and running the Gemma 3B. This is running the 4 billion parameter model currently, so it's a very, very small model, and this will run great on the Orin Nano Super. And so the camera control app is connected to a webcam, which is the Elgato webcam through USB, because this is a web app. But this runs just as well if you're using a CSI camera or something like that. Now, the Orin Nano Super is a little slower than the AGX Orin, and the AGX Orin has 64 gigs of memory. And so when I go off the deep end using my other stuff in a second, like my customizations, I've gone pretty crazy. But just the basics to get you started, I've got a prompt editor here. And it's like the image may or may not contain a framed artwork or picture. When you see a framed artwork, respond a certain way, do that kind of thing. And so it's like, there's a framed artwork in the background. It sees that, over there. And so it's like, but mostly if it doesn't see anything, it's like, hello, Oingo is waiting. Charmed, I'm sure.
Well,
and so then if I
heard my name. What can I do for you?
Took 2840 milliseconds. Oh no. This is a portrait of Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. It's detailed, slightly stylized. And it's like, well, not quite. It's one of the Golden Girls, but, I'll take it.
Do you think you could show me something that I might adore?
Hey, Oingo, what do you think?
No. Oh, the frame you holding up? Right. Well, that's derivative. You got boost. I absolutely adore. Oh, looks like
portrait of David Bowie.
Is it Bowie?
I could kind of see, yeah. I could kind of see that. David Bowie, yeah, maybe. Instead of a monolithic AI doing all of this, we actually string together a model like Gemma 3B, which is doing pretty good here. Or we can actually incorporate Nano Owl, which is from Google Research, and is great for detecting objects from text prompts. For the objects that are in the picture. Once they're identified, we can also segment it. Segment anything, meaning that we can cut up the image and just highlight the part that we're interested in and ask the AI only about that. So like one AI segments it and then passes it off. Oh, and the segmenting model, that's from Meta. Meta has segment anything. But it wasn't designed to run in real time. Nvidia got around that by releasing a new project called NanoSam, which converts SAM into a lightweight model that runs on Tensor RT cores. And instead of a bounding box, it will segment the actual shape in real time. So even if I'm holding this at an angle, it's going to do it. AGX Orin has all the hardware to do that, and thus was born Oingo. Yeah, it's just a toy right now, sure. But I'm thinking about this kind of thing, and it's all running locally. Maybe I can build a personal assistant I can use to automatically capture and organize my thoughts. I mean, I already use my phone to take photos and store notes as a kind of annotation system, logging system. And so working on these kinds of systems is kind of causing my imagination to race. I've laid out on the desk here, in large part, the Jetson family. The Jetson Nano Super, AGX Orin. The Orin Nano only has 8 gigabytes of memory, but it can run the same Gamma 3 billion parameter model just fine. AGX Orin is 64 gigabytes, and this is the same platform that's already been incorporated into self-driving cars and real robotic systems. Not just my toys. And Thor is the next generation. It's based on Blackwell. The other two are an older architecture, but Thor has 128 gigabytes of memory. It doesn't have as much CUDA compute as the DGX Spark, which also has 128 gigabytes of memory. And the tensor cores aren't the same, but it is quite a little capable machine. I did a separate video on Thor if you want to check it out. All of these are aimed at physical AI and physical robotics. The great thing about physical robotics is that those systems are small, relatively speaking. And if you just want to experiment and recreate with software, you can run a lot of these same models right now on a gaming GPU, and it'll be as fast or faster than what you can achieve with the Orin Nano Super or the Orin or the Thor in a lot of cases. Okay, well, the large memory capacities of those, the Thor and the Orin, are handy for running a bunch of small models in concert. But on a desktop computer, you got some leeway swapping between video RAM and system RAM. So not having that much VRAM doesn't stop you from experiencing the wonder of exploring this technology. Oh, and Thor and Orin are on sale now through January 12th, 2026, at least in the US. Big holiday sale for what that's worth. If you're outside the US, you can get in on another promotional program to get hardware at a discount, depending on if you're a startup company or a new business doing things. But actually, let's take a look at how this is built, because I think that's more interesting. So on our workbench here, I've got our 4 systems. Well, it's really just 3. I've also got the DGX Spark, but we get the Orin Nano Super, the AGX Orin, and Thor. And that's what our 3 terminals are here. Thor, Nano, and Orin in this configuration. And over here on Orin is where I'm running this web app. And this web app is connected to this other machine and that camera. Now you should understand that what I'm building is like where I am is not where I started. And I'm mostly showing you where I started so you can go on your own journey, but things, kind of deviate. My ultimate goal is to run a customized GPT OSS on this. And how you do the customization, like fine tuning, that can still take a lot of compute power, but there's another way to do it, layer routing, which I'll talk about in a second. And then I've also got, Home Assistant voice. Now this thing is designed to connect to the wireless directly. It just uses USB-C for power. And it's got some preset wake words. You actually have to do a lot of training if you want custom wake words. But this can also be used as a microphone to capture things directly. So I have to get Oingo's attention with, "Hey Jarvis," but eventually, "Hey Oingo." That's pretty unique. You don't have to use this as a microphone. I just like that this is there's some wake word hardware. There's some aspects of this Home Assistant hardware. If you're just doing this, you can just use your webcam microphone. That's all I'm doing here in the demo. It works fine. I'm using the Elgato Facecam like through the web browser, and it's basically okay. But you can connect it on Linux as well. Same with the camera, like the CSI camera versus a USB webcam. You can do this with a gaming GPU. You don't need the physical hardware. But Gemma, the 4 billion parameter Gemma 3 model is really incredible because I can run it on all 3 pieces of hardware. I mean, look. "Hey Jarvis, can you give me a chocolate chip cookie recipe?" Because, we're not necessarily even showing it artwork. We're just text to speech to a GPT OSS to whatever. And that, because this is connected to the wireless, it doesn't even have to necessarily be running on self-contained hardware. Ultimately, I want it to run on self-contained hardware because I'd like to carry this around and have it be battery powered or home lab or something like that. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. That's like future videos, interest from the community that drives this kind of thing.
Chocolate chip cookies, this recipe makes approximately 2430 cookies. and is a fantastic starting point for perfecting your own chocolate chip cookie yields. 2430 cookies. 9 to
So,
11 minutes.
chocolate chip cookie recipe. Oingo has been blaring that in the background. That's fun. All right, I started all 3 of the queries on all 3 of our devices at roughly the same time. The Aura Nano is holding its own pretty well. Thor is very fast, but it did not have the model preloaded. So Thor is running up here. This is the Aura Nano Super, and this is the AGX Aura. And then, of course, you can hear Oingo in the background.
Granulated sugar, 3/4 cup, 1/106 packed brown sugar, 2 large eggs.
Would you like me to provide a variation of this recipe? There is some randomness that is introduced deliberately to avoid the creepiness of it being exactly the same. Well, not really. I mean, some of the random number generation happens at a relatively low level in the hardware. It doesn't. Listen, the sky's the limit for possibilities here, is all I'm saying. The cute little Aura Nano is still going for our recipe. It took it like a full extra minute plus. It's not bad, though. It's 8 gigs of memory. It's running on a $250 device. That's pretty good for a $250 device, self-contained, relatively low power. Okay, I'm running it. Let's see what. Just over 25 watts. Oh, and in case you're wondering, the text-to-speech that I'm using is Vibe Voice text-to-speech. You can play with it in Comfy UI and get it, the way that you want in Comfy UI, and then export it and be able to run it from the command line. So really all we're doing here is plugging a large language model output into text-to-speech, which has latency and is really not the best approach for that, but, it's fine. I'm learning. I'm stumbling. This is just fun times. How did you give it personality? Personality, what's going on? How is that? That's a customized GPT OSS. I want to share that because that's at the frontier, and the level 1 text community is kind of awesome in that regard. Customizing GPT OSS with not a lot of hardware is a big deal. Normally, when you're training, it's millions of dollars of hardware, and then when you're doing customizing, it's still a huge amount of hardware. And a lot of people doing the customization now, they'll upload it to the cloud. And that's what's subsuming all of the hardware. It's what's taking over the universe. I know it seems like AI is subsuming everything and making everything terrible, but everything exciting, it's not really AI that's doing the subsuming. But yes, there is pressure on hardware availability. And you and me, find ourselves in a despondent situation with limited access to RAM and probably soon limited access to storage and who knows what limited after that. Food, silver bullion, certainly. It probably seems obvious to you that this is a short-term bubble. Tulip bulb mania, but DRAM or silver bullion maybe for tulip bulb mania. What you might not realize is that even memory manufacturers think that it's a bubble, or at least they suspect it, which is why no one really wants to start investing in moving heaven and earth to bring online more production capacity, because why would you? You will have wasted all that money. But the software aspect of all this can change everything too, because that's really the frontier. Everyone should have curiosity to explore. And here's something everyone can be excited about. A breakthrough tomorrow in memory utilization could drop the pressure on consuming all of the DRAM. And it could literally happen tomorrow. Microsoft or OpenAI could pull back. Breakthroughs come in many forms. DeepSeek. They showed what was possible in a severely constrained environment. The constraints that everyone has now can mean that there's only acceleration. Either the bubble pops sooner, or the folks under severe constraints innovate in big ways, the way that the DeepSeek team did, which will probably reduce the memory pressure. Now, I keep saying frontier because, well, you and the hardware you already have can make real progress discovering meaningful stuff. My Oingo AI robot is a vehicle for me to understand and work on and have fun experiments. It's useful for me to learn and to see what might actually be useful to me longer term, because maybe actually building something useful. Adjusting personas, messing with model alignment, optimizing multi-million-dollar models to do my bidding. Model fine-tuning is frontier in the same way. And I'm not spending a lot of money to do this. Check this out on Hugging Face. Patrick and the Level 1 Text community created these variations on GPT OSS for a lot of the famous robots from TV, movies, and science fiction. This is what I use as the basis to do some of my own customizations using the dark humor from Always Sunny. Now, Patrick's models include Johnny Five, Marvin from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Baymax, Tars, Commander Data, Bender, K2SO, and more. If you're feeling darker, one of the personalities available is AM from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And even though in the book that's a malevolent superintelligence, it's still actually pretty helpful. If you don't have the hardware to truly fine-tune a model, or at least if you don't believe that you do, you probably do. You probably just need to right-size the model. Now, I'm sure that Mark Zuckerberg wants to convince you that running a useful AI locally on your own hardware optimized for your needs to do what you want it to do is impossible. But it's not. Breakthroughs happen all the time. And to give you one last bit of hope, let me introduce you to layer routing instead of fine-tuning. This is something that Patrick started on, and after Patrick and I were working on this, Hugging Face did a video on it, steering LLM behavior with layer routing instead of fine-tuning. I mean, fine-tuning can still require a relatively impossible amount of resources for an individual. Training it in the cloud might cost $10,000 or $20,000 to rent the capacity to train that. You're not going to do that as an individual. Enter this. This is instead a steering approach. Steering was known to be useful versus fine-tuning or post-training in like 2024, but how to hone the steering or how to approach the steering thing has been under active investigation throughout 2025. And well, Patrick has done the heavy lifting there with access to only our relatively limited hardware. And we've got more of that kind of thing going on in the community. So to bring all this home, right now, Oingo, only built with Gemma 3B, you can cobble together something from that example project from Nvidia on GitHub tomorrow, and it'll have vision processing, a vision language model. Even with just a prompt, Gemma 3B is doing surprisingly well classifying my artwork just for the lulz. And I'm doing it on standalone hardware because eventually this might be useful as an AI assistant to help me organize my Obsidian notes, my digital brain. But for now, this is all I wanted to ramble about and show you because I'm kind of excited for it. And I'm kind of excited for the positive aspects of the technology that I currently see. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. How can you not be excited for this? I whittled this level 1. This is just, I don't know, are you working on this kind of stuff? Come to the forum. Let's chat. All right, I'm signing out and I'll see you there.